Welcome back to Go With Us, and this is everything you really need to know this week in Pokemon Go, running from the 6th of April all the way until the 13th. Let's get straight into our calendar now, and as you can see, on the 6th is still Monday, and that is going to be the ending of the Shockingly Good Time event. Make sure to have your electric type mega Pokemon in the background for the entire time so you can accumulate the candy and XL candy, but please bear in mind that this is the last day of the last spotlight hour, which will be taking place from 6 to 7 p.m. local time that night, which will be featuring Joltik. Joltik can go into Galvantula, which is not a very good Pokemon in PvP right now, but there have been times, especially with that iconic move of Lunge, which makes a huge difference on the battlefield and certain metas. It may come into a better rotation next season, so try and get yourself a good Joltik, and of course, you can get that shiny as well. Also, this will be your last day for the Shockingly Good Time Go Pass, but also remember that the Daily Discoveries bonus on Monday is going to be Fast Track Monday, so if you haven't completed the pass, Monday is a perfect time to do that to progress, because you are going to get double the points for completing daily tasks. Let's get back to our calendar again. The other thing that's going down also from 6 to 7 p.m. local time on that Monday is going to be the debut of Dynamax Trapinch coming into Pokemon Go for the very first time, and of course, as we know, D-Max Trapinch can go into Dynamax Flygon. If we have a look at D-Max Flygon's stats very quickly, you can see that at attack stat, it's only hovering just above the 200 mark, which isn't going to make this the most powerful attacker, but more importantly, let's have a look at its fast moves. It does get access to Sand Attack as well as Mud Shot, which means these are both half a second fast moves, which is a brilliant thing for a potential tank of a Pokemon. As we know, and as we figured out last weekend, for G-Max Pikachu, the only really good ground type attacker we had was D-Max Excadrill. But this time, D-Max Flygon, if you don't have a D-Max Excadrill, could be a really good replacement, but more importantly as well, it triple resists something like Electric, for example. So from a resistance point of view, this could be a very good Pokemon to use in the future, especially if you don't have another ground type. Make sure to get yourself a good D-Max Trapinch. Back to our calendar again, the only other thing we need to worry about on Monday is actually going to come first at 9 a.m. Of course, will be those Adventure Sync rewards. Remember, if you walk 25 kilometers, you can get access to a 5-kilometer egg. The Pokemon hatching from that Adventure Sync egg are going to be Chingling, Happiny, Audino, Riolu, and Skarmory. We have mentioned this for at least the last month or two, that Riolu and Skarmory are definitely going to be your best picks there. Of course, Riolu does have a Mega in the game right now, which is Mega Lucario, the best fighting type attacker in the game, but Skarmory also has a Mega coming to the game, Mega Skarmory, which is going to make this Pokemon easily one of the best flying, potentially, and steel type attackers. We also do have Riolu Hatch Day coming up on the 18th. Make sure to mark your calendar. That is a very, very important day. And if you do want access to the 10-kilometer Adventure Sync egg, you're going to have to walk 50 kilometers in that week, and hatching there is going to be Goomy, Turtonator, Toxel, Gible, and Dreepy. Of course, the big one there right now is going to be Gible going into Mega Garchomp. It's currently the second or third best ground type attacker in the entire game, a brilliant Mega, and definitely still one of the best dragon types, and will be for the foreseeable future. Outstanding. Moving on to Tuesday the 7th, we have a couple things starting here, but the first thing we need to touch on is going to be the April Go Pass, which will be going live at 10 a.m. on that day. The main reward encounter will be with Entei, the Johto legendary fire type Pokemon, and if you do purchase the deluxe version for a total cost of $8, you will get those rewards plus a main reward of the Lucky Trinket, which will be making its return. Of course, that does guarantee a lucky trade with a friend. You can get one Super Incubator and more encounters with some rarer Pokemon. Please bear in mind, if you do buy this Go Pass, the Lucky Trinket will expire on May the 12th at 11:59 p.m., which is going to be the middle of next month. Please remember to make that lucky trade. Let's just touch on the research breakthrough box very quickly. Of course, this is coming after your 7-day stamps. Once you complete your 7-day stamps, you will get a few rewards such as some candy, XP, as well as some Stardust, but you will get an encounter with a reward Pokemon. Those are going to be Gyarados at 100% CP of 1453, Honedge is in there at 595, Delmise is in there at 1264, Sinistea is in there at 488 CP. Remember that can be the antique form Sinistea. Remember to check the summary page and check if it's only going to cost 400 candy to evolve. If it does, you do know you have the antique form. Alternatively, you can check with your team leader and they will be able to tell you if it's the phony form or the antique form. Duraludon's in there at 1314 CP, as well as Dreepy in there at 328 CP. That is the only one that cannot be shiny. Also on Tuesday, do not forget about Showcase Tuesday, where you can enter Pokemon up to 20 different categories. This is a great time to try and accomplish your Platinum Showcase medal, which requires you to win 100 showcases. Again, I have mentioned this in previous weeks. I would strongly recommend, if you're trying to win more showcases, is to go to quieter areas, go to quieter streets where there's not a lot of players, and maybe the amount of people that have entered these showcases is a lot less than playing in like a city center, for example, where there's going to be 20 or even 30 trainers. Try and do that. That is going to be your best way of winning. Those details are out of the way, but what raids are going to be going down for this week? So remember, on the 7th at 10 a.m, Regidrago will be disappearing out of raids. It will be going out of rotation. Please remember, Regidrago is currently the 16th best dragon type attacker in the game. It's a really good Ultra League Pokemon right now, currently hovering around the top 15 mark. Regidrago will be leaving on the 7th, but coming in on the 8th is going to be Kyogre, the water type legendary Pokemon coming from the Hoenn region. Base Kyogre, when it comes to its regular stats, are incredible. It has a max CP of 4652, an attack of 270, and a defense of 228, stamina of 205, all very, very good. It only has 2 weaknesses, which is going to be electric and grass. It is currently the 8th best water type attacker in the game with Origin Pulse, which of course will require an elite charge TM. And in the Master League right now, base form Kyogre is actually really, really good. However, it is the primal Kyogre that you really want. This Pokemon becomes one of the best Pokemon and will be for a very, very long time. It has a max CP of 6672, an attack value of 353, a defense of 268, stamina of 218. But with Origin Pulse, this takes this Pokemon to the #1 water type attacker in the entire game. I know I keep saying this, but this is one Pokemon you definitely want to get that hundo for. And non-weather boosted weather, that 100% CP is going to be 2351, and the weather boosted 100% IV, which is going to be in rainy weather boosting that water typing, is going to be 2939 CP. And lastly, if you do have the energy to make this primal reversion, you will need 400 primal energy to make this happen. Make sure to get yourself at least a 98 or a hundo. Primal Kyogre is a boss. Let's move on to Mega Raids. It looks like Mega Magnetric will be in Mega Raids until the 7th. Please remember, it is currently the best electric type Mega in the game right now, and it is currently in the top 5 or 6 electric type attackers. You definitely want to try and get a good Mega Magnetric for an electric type attacker, but also try and get the Mega Energy as much as you can. But coming in, replacing Mega Magnetric is going to be Mega Aerodactyl, another fan favorite on the 8th at 10 a.m. Let's just have a look at Mega Aerodactyl's base stats. It has a max CP of 4655, which is very strong, an attack value of 292, defense of 210, and a stamina of 190. So this Pokemon is going to hit pretty hard. As a rock type attacker, it is currently the 5th best rock type attacker in the game. But even though it is a flying type Pokemon as well, it does not know a flying charge move, which is super disappointing. If it did know something like fly, for example, it probably would break this Pokemon into at least the top 5 or 7. But what is going to be our 5-star Shadow Raid boss for April? And that is going to be Shadow Latios. Its base stats are 4310, which is very good actually, an attack value of 268, a defense of 212, and a stamina of 190. So this Pokemon is going to be a lot more attack heavy, because in comparison to Shadow Latias, as you can see, its attack stat is definitely lower. But remember, with Shadow Pokemon, their attack gets increased by 20%, but their defense gets decreased by 20%. So as an attacker, this Pokemon is definitely going to be better. As a Dragon type attacker, it is currently the 22nd best in the game with Dragon Breath and Dragon Claw. And as a Psychic type attacker, it is currently the 9th best in the game with Zen Headbutt and Psychic. But more than that, it's even in the Master League where this Pokemon shines pretty well, currently hovering around that top 30 spot with Aura Sphere, but also Luster Purge. The great thing about Luster Purge is that it does a lot of neutral damage to some of the Pokemon higher on this list as well. So again, a pretty good option. And please remember, with Shadow Raids at around 60 or 70% of this health, it will become enraged. You need to use 8 Purified Gems to take away that enraged state, or you can just power through if you do have the top counters. I would strongly recommend going in with party play so you can double the damage of your attacks. But also, to take down Shadow Latios, you're definitely going to need at least 2 trainers. It is possible to be duoed, but I would strongly recommend using 3 or 4 if you want to take it down a lot easier. Back to our calendar again, it looks like moving on to Wednesday the 8th, the only thing we really need to worry about there is going to be the raid hour for Kyogre. We just showed you already its base stats, how good it is, but more importantly, how good that primal Kyogre is. This is a good opportunity to get Kyogre, because to be honest, with Groudon coming next week as well, I don't think we're going to see these Pokemon for a long time, especially because they were just in the Kalos tour with those primal raids too. So you should have the primal energy, but if you didn't have that hundo or that 98 or that shiny, if you do want to get it, these raids are going to be a 1 in 20 shiny rate. Take the opportunity while it's there. Let's move on to Thursday. The only thing we really need to worry about on this day is going to be GBL Thursdays, Go Battle Thursdays, which allows you to complete up to 10 Go Battle League sets per day, which is 50 battles per day. Guys, with a 4-time Stardust reward, please do not overlook this. Stardust. Try and get into Go Battle League. It's very fun. They've just done a little rework of how the league works. You can get really easy free Stardust, and especially if you just have some sort of knowledge on Pokemon types, weaknesses, super effective damage, you can actually do a lot better than you think, and a lot of people just get scared off because they think it's too competitive or it's glitchy. It doesn't matter. To be honest, it actually is a lot of fun, and I know a lot of trainers who aren't necessarily very competitive, but they try and get as high ranked as possible because you get good free Stardust, but more importantly, you get reward Pokemon, and the reward Pokemon from those GBL tracks are pretty rare, and because they do come with a base floor of 10 10 10, I've seen many people get hundos off these tracks as well. So try and get into GBL. It's definitely worth your time. Let's move on to Friday the 10th, and we have to mention this again. Friendship Fridays on Fridays are very important. What Friendship Fridays are is that they surround trading. Trading Pokemon on this day, you can get one additional special trade per day to make it 2. All the trades you do are going to have an increased chance of becoming lucky. Trades are going to cost 10% less Stardust, but more importantly, you can get an additional XL candy every single time you trade, on top of the seasonal bonus of already getting an XL candy when trading. So you're going to get 2 XL candies per trade. We've had a few community members and even ourselves do these trades on Friday. I remember doing like 30 or 40 2 Fridays ago with all the Pokemon I caught from the Hoenn region from the Road to Kalos tour, and I think I got like 7 luckies and 40 trades. Remember, when you get a lucky Pokemon, it's a 1 in 64 chance that it does become a hundo, and if it is a shiny, you could potentially and have a much higher chance of getting that shundo. Please trade Pokemon. I'm gonna bang the drum so all trainers can start to do it. Then, back to our calendar again, moving on to Saturday, we have the big event of the week, one of the biggest events of the month, and possibly even the year so far. We have Tinkatink Com Day. Tinkatink is a steel and fairy type Pokemon originally coming from the Paldea region, which can evolve into Tinkatuff and then finally into Tinkaton, which is a steel and fairy type Pokemon. One of the only Pokemon in the entire Pokemon universe to share steel and fairy. Of course, Zacian does have this typing as well, but if you look at all the typings put together, steel and fairy is arguably the best combination in the entirety of Pokemon Go. So let's just have a look at what the bonuses are going to be during this day. It's going to be 3 times catch Stardust. So we've told you, especially during the shockingly good time event, remember Alolan Raichu can be in field research. Please remember to stack those Pokemon and catch them on the 3 times catch Stardust day, which Tinkatink is. And remember to throw in a star piece as well. Guys, the Stardust on this day is going to be huge. It's going to be 2 times catch candy for catching Pokemon, 2 times the chance of XL candy if you are level 31 and up. We can get photobombed 5 times from Tinkatink, which of course can be shiny. Every single Tinkatink you see on this day is going to have a 1 in 25 shiny rate, including all the Tinkatink encounters coming from field research. That 100% CP for Tinkatink coming from field research is going to be 368 CP, so remember to screenshot that for Saturday. This community day of Tinkatink will be lasting for 3 hours on the Saturday, but please remember when it comes to incenses as well, your incenses are going to last for 3 hours, but that does not include the daily incense. Lure modules will last for 1 hour, but up until 9 p.m. that night, after the event finishes, if you pop a regular lure module, Tinkatink will be drawn to the lure module with the same shiny rate of 1 in 25. So if you missed the event time from 2 to 5, which is a 3-hour time frame, maybe you had a family function or you had work to do, you can potentially play catch up, sit in a spot with a few Pokestops, throw in those lure modules, and you're going to get a chance of getting some Tinkatink for yourself. We can also make 1 additional special trade on this day too, which actually makes Friday and Saturday 2 special trades each. So you can complete 4 special trades in 2 days on that Friday and Saturday. Please do not overlook that. Please remember, up until 9 p.m. that day, you can evolve Tinkatuff into Tinkaton to get the community day move of Gigaton Hammer. In trainer battles, it's going to do 130 power, and in gyms and raids, it's going to do 300 power, which is one of the highest moves we've seen in Pokemon Go, and I think it's going to take this Pokemon to be a lot better than what it currently is, because if we have a look at Tinkaton's base stats, it's very lackluster, to be honest. Its attack value is only 155, defense of 196, and a stamina of 198. Gigaton Hammer, remember, is a steel type move, which is going to go on to Tinkaton. This could make this Pokemon a much better raid attacker in the steel type category, but of course we will cover this, and even in the Go Battle League, I wonder what changes it could have as well. That is a huge community day, one event of the entire year you definitely do not want to miss. Moving on to Sunday the 12th, the only daily discoveries bonus we need to worry about there potentially is going to be Double Time Sunday, which allows your lure modules to last for twice as long. and that goes for all lure modules, not just the regular ones. So try and use those if there are certain Pokemon, especially because the seasonal spawns outside of Tinkatink Community Day are going to be active for the entirety of this week. Once that shockingly good time event comes to a close, which features a lot of electric types, seasonal spawns will be taking over for the entire week, because the only event coming the next week is going to be Sustainability Week, which is massive, arguably one of the best events of the year. We cannot wait to cover that in the next few days. Huge event, but up until then, try and take advantage of these seasonal spawns while you can. Speaking of the season, I'm just going to run over those seasonal bonuses very quickly. Remember, with trading, please remember to trade. You get 1 additional candy when trading Pokemon, and you're also going to get 1 guaranteed XL candy. And of course, you are going to get more XP and Stardust when you complete your 7-day spin streaks of spinning Pokestops, and also your 7-day catch streak of catching 7 Pokemon in a row on a day, and you will get an extra XP and Stardust reward. At the time of releasing this video, remember that Shockingly Good Time event will still be live. I'm just going to leave it as the end screen. Make sure to cover everything you've got there, just in case there was something you missed. And of course, once our Tinkatink Community Day video goes live, we will leave it as the end screen here as well. Love you guys. Go with us. Please smash that like and subscribe button, but more importantly, that hype button, so we can take this video as far as wide as possible. We really appreciate your support. We cannot do this without you. The channel is growing. Literally the last 3 months, we've taken a huge curve up, and we can only do it with your support. Love you. Go with us. See you next week, baby, and we'll catch you in the next one.